Hello friends and welcome. I think most of us have heard the old axiom that we wear 20% of the clothing in our closet 80% of the time. And I think most of us would nod our heads in agreement with that statement. I'd also venture to guess that this axiom holds true for our makeup as well. Although, I think the percentage of the products we regularly use might be even lower, perhaps even 15%. Well, I'd definitely love to hear your thoughts on what percentage of the products you have in your makeup collection that you feel you wear 80% of the time. Well, lately, I've definitely been adhering to the 80-20 rule since I found myself reaching for some of the same products I'm loving over and over that are especially great for mature skin. But I don't think some of them are products that I've talked about very much lately. So today I'll remedy that situation by sharing with you and applying these most often reached for products. But before I do, I want to welcome those of you who are new to this channel and welcome back those of you who are already friends. I vividly remember a comment a lovely woman made on one of my videos several years ago. She said, 65 doesn't have to be the end of fun with makeup. And I couldn't agree more. Although we've experienced a few changes to our eyebrows, eyes, skin, and lips in the past few years, there are makeup tips, techniques, and products that very definitely can help us look our best now, and we can have fun doing it. And that's what this channel is all about. And from time to time, we also touch on fashion and wellness. So if this content sounds like a fit for you, I do hope you'll subscribe before you leave today. Now, on to some makeup I've been reaching for more and more often that I feel works especially well for our mature skin. My skin prep is completed and I filled in my brows, but I have simplified my brow routine a bit and I'm using a different eye primer regularly. One of the brow products that I've been using for years is always what I apply first, my ABH Brow Powder Duo in medium brown. What makes this product especially easy, and the one I reach for all the time, is the fact that there's a lighter and a darker shade in each small case, as you saw. I always use both of these colors because I find it works well to start with the lightest color and then gradually blend in the darker color. This is a process that I feel helps make my brows look more natural, and it keeps me from going too heavy and dark with my brows, which can create that evil, scary Disney villain look. Well, as far as eye primer goes, I've been using makeup artist Mario's Master Eye Prep and Set Eye Primer. You'll most likely notice a theme here because this product also comes in a lighter and a darker shade. This is the version I have and it's in the shade Light. But it also comes in medium and deep. Since I'm noticing more blue veins peeking through in that thin skin under my brows and on my eyelids, I wanted even more eye primer coverage to cover up this discoloration. And this eye primer provides the most coverage of any eye primer I've tried. It also has a little thicker consistency, so I found the easiest way to apply it is to pat it on. If I were to rub it on, I'd be stretching that delicate eye skin, which could contribute to even more of a hooded eye look, which I definitely don't need. I also love the fact that a powder is included with this eye primer compact because applying this powder after the eye primer means that any powder eyeshadow will definitely be easier to apply and blend in since it will glide on. For eyeshadow, I've more and more frequently been pulling out my Natasha Denona My Dream palette, which is her midi size palette. But the reason I've been going with this palette more and more often is that I also recently purchased Natasha Denona's newest mini palette, which is her My Dream Mini that has 3 more beautiful neutral matte shades. So the additional neutral matte shades in this mini palette provide even more options to create different looks. But I will say that it was hard to find one of these mini palettes since they were sold out on the Sephora website and in many Sephora retail stores that were near me. I finally found it at a Kohl's store that has a Sephora site located inside it. Now, not all Kohl's stores have a Sephora outlet, but as of the end of 2023, there are now 850 Kohl's stores across the country that have a Sephora site. But of course, purchasing this mini palette online through a Kohl's store is probably the easiest way to find this new mini palette. I've put a link to Sephora at Kohl's in the description box below, along with links to all the other products that I'll be sharing with you today. So let's go ahead and create an eyeshadow look using these 2 palettes. Now, just for the fun of it, instead of going with a neutral look, I'm going to go pretty dark and smoky. In fact, I wore this look to a play that we attended last night, and it was really fun to do it. And actually, this look I'm going to be using is one that's on the Natasha Denona website. I'm first going to go with this shade Nurture in the Crease. And by the way, this Nurture shade is the only one that's repeated in the mini palette. And this is a beautiful crease color. It works so well. And of course, as you know, if you've tried Natasha Denona eyeshadows, they just blend in like a dream. And it's not a coincidence that this is probably called my dream palette. These are actually Natasha Denona's favorite colors. As I think many of you know, we have recently moved to a new location, and one of the most interesting processes is trying to find someone new to cut your hair. Luckily, my best friend who lives here had a great recommendation, and so I was in for the first time about 3 days ago, and oh my gosh, my hair so needed it. And because of my hooded eyes, I'm going to bring this up even a little higher. I can see why Natasha Denona wanted to include this Nurture color in her mini palette, because this just is such a helpful color to have. Now this is where things get a little bit more interesting. I'm going to go with this purplish color called Instinct, and I'm also going to use this deeper color called Edgy on the outer part of my lid and crease. This is the color called Instinct, and I'm going to start over this way and then just gradually work it up a little bit. Then I also want to put it on the outer part of my lid. And frankly, it's easiest to sort of pat in Natasha Denona shadows first and then do a little blending. And since I'm going to put that deeper color called Edgy on the outer part of my crease and the outer part of my lid, I'm going to bring this up high enough so it can be seen over Edgy. And now some blending. And now I'm going to use this deeper purple color called Edgy. I'm going to use a flatter brush just to pat it in initially. And some more blending. And here's where some fun comes in. I'm going to take this metallic shade called Vision and put it on the outer part of the lid, and then the lighter color called Spontaneous in the middle and inner corner of the lid. This is Spontaneous. And although this looks very pink, it also has a bit of a gold cast to it, which is kind of interesting. Now I'm taking Spontaneous and going on the inner part of the eye. And then on our website look, she took this gold color and also included it. I'm not sure how I'm going to like that, but I'm going to give it a try. The shade is called Invention. Then I'm taking a shade called Babies, which is a little bit darker, and I'm putting it right along the edge of that gold color. Then I'm taking a combination of Instinct and Nurture, and I'm putting it in the outer corner. One product I purchased during the Sephora fall sale was this Rare Beauty Positive Light Silky Touch highlighter in the shade Enlighten, which is a cool champagne color. It's a very intense highlighter. But the reason that I'm reaching for it often now is because it works beautifully as an inner corner highlight and as an eyeshadow to really brighten the center of my lids. Let me show you what that looks like. A little of this goes a very long way, and you'll see how intense it is. So I'm just putting a tiny bit here. But where it makes the most difference is putting it right here. It's incredibly brightening. For eyeliner, I'm going to use the deepest brown shade from the Natasha Denona mini palette, which is called Loyalty. And I'm going to combine it with a little bit of the purple hued shade Edgy from the larger Natasha Denona palette. And I'm going to do this off camera along with the application of my Gwen Stefani mascara on my top lashes and my Clinique bottom lash mascara on my lower lashes. For face primer, I'm going with e.l.f.'s new formulation of their Poreless Putty Primer, which comes in a liquid. I love how easily this applies since it just glides over the skin and how weightless it also feels. Just a little touch. This feels really good on the skin too. I personally love getting great coverage with foundation, but often more coverage also means a heavier feel, which most of us really don't enjoy. But this new super coverage foundation from the clean beauty brand Doll 10, which I talked about in a previous video, is really an exception. It provides excellent coverage, but feels extremely lightweight. It's also vegan, hypoallergenic, cruelty-free, and oil-free. And if you're interested in checking out any Doll 10 products, you can get 15% off any purchase from their website by using the code ELISE15. To get a little additional glow on my skin, I'm going to mix a little of Saie Beauty's Star Glow Highlighter in with the Doll 10 product. I'm adding the shade Star Glow, which is a universal champagne color. So these are what I'm going to mix together. This looks like it's going to be way too light, but it actually blends in pretty well. And I'm just going to press it in first. So important with foundation, if you're using a brush to really buff it in, that really makes it adhere to the skin and look more natural. I'm going to bring this down onto my neck as well. And by the way, this is a cruelty-free brand, but I put in my description box a full listing of brands that aren't cruelty-free, just so you have that information if you want to check that out. It's so hard to believe this provides such great coverage and yet does feel so lightweight on the skin. For under eye corrector, I'm using Doll 10's Luminous Under Eye Corrector in the shade Rose Quartz. And then over it, I'll apply my new favorite concealer, which is Natasha Denona's High Glam Concealer in the shade RN3. This is a pinkish salmon color, which is nice and brightening under the eye. Then just some of my Natasha Denona concealer. And I'm also putting this on the age spots, although with this particular foundation, I don't really need it as much as I usually do with my other foundations. This is all very creamy, so it's not real likely to crease, but I never like to take any chances, so I'm going to apply some of my Maybelline powder over it. This is my favorite drugstore product, their banana powder. Just need very little patted on there just so that concealer and the corrector doesn't crease. My longtime contour go-to is M Cosmetics Bronzer Stick in the shade Terra because it applies so easily that it's just about impossible to make a mistake with it. And boy, that's the kind of makeup I like. And it's also the perfect color. It's very much a cool tone color, which works best for contouring if you have a cool tone skin, which I definitely do. I'm just going to dot it here and across the top of my forehead. You never want to bring the contour too far in, too close to your nose, and you always want to blend it upward. And I love this Sephora 56 brush to do it. It does a great job of blending it in. And then we'll go along the jawline and under, which helps disguise some of those jowls just a little bit. By the way, the show I was mentioning that we saw last night, it was a theater where you could have dinner and then watch the show, and it's been there for ages. It's a long storied history, and it was a play called The $1 Million Quartet, and it was based on a real event that happened in Memphis, Tennessee, where there was a one-time jam session with four greats of rock and roll history: Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash. It was an incredible show. And a young man who played Jerry Lee Lewis must have lost 20 pounds. I mean, he was all over that stage doing all kinds of acrobatics and contortions, and he was amazing. If you ever get a chance to see the show, it is really a good one. And then, as always, my foundation brush around the edges. But you can see how seamlessly that M Cosmetics contour blends in. For blush and highlighter, I'm going to pull out Natasha Denona's My Dream Cheek Trio. I put this palette away after initially trying it, but when I pulled it out again and used it a second time, I was super impressed with it. The formulas are absolutely unique and apply really beautifully. And most importantly for our mature skin is that the blush and highlighter do not emphasize texture. And the color of the cream blush is very soft and natural, and I feel it's a very universal shade since it's a mauve nude pink. In fact, I'm liking this palette so much that I'm seriously considering getting a backup, especially if it ever goes on sale. Just love this blush color. It's so neutral, it would go with absolutely anything. It's just sheer and light, and it applies just like a dream. If you like an intense blush look, this is not the blush for you, but if you like a softer, more natural blush look, it's, I think, one of the best I've ever tried. I'm just going to bring it around slightly up here, just to give some consistency and blend things together. The middle product, which is called a Glow Cream Base, creates a very subtle look. It's made with antioxidant lychee extract and luminous hydrating oils. And if you like even more glow, apply the Dream Glow powder, which is a gel to powder formula, over the cream base. Before I apply these products, let me swatch these colors for you. Here is the blush, this is the cream base, and then the Glow Powder Highlighter is above the cream base. And I think this will show you a little bit more about the intensity of it. So first I'm going to dot on the cream highlighter, which is so beautifully soft and subtle. Adding highlight to mature skin, I think, makes such a difference because our skin does get duller as the years go by, unfortunately. Now, of course, I could just leave it at that, but I want to show you what the powder looks like on top of the cream. This will make it a little bit more intense, as you can probably tell. And this has a little bit of a golden, slight golden sheen to it, but this is an absolutely beautiful trio. To finish off my face makeup, I'm going to apply my Laura Mercier powder to my T-zone and my Hourglass Ambient Light powder to the rest of my face. And I'm going to use the Ambient Light Hourglass powders from my palette. Now, this is a more subtle look that I'm creating with my face makeup because I want my eyes to be the star of the show. But I am taking a little bit of the Hourglass blush, just to give a little bit more lift to the blush. And of course, adding a powder over the cream blush helps it last longer. As I mentioned, since I want my eyes to be the main focus of this look, I'm going to go with a more subtle lip look than I normally do. First, I'll apply a little concealer around the edge of my lips and then a Doll 10 lip liner in the shade Head Doll. And then we're going to have some fun by combining several different lipstick colors to see what we end up with. What I love about the Doll 10 lip liners is that they are self-sharpening, so you never have to worry about them getting dull or trying to sharpen them. When you put the lip liner back in and screw it in, that's when it sharpens. First, I'll apply 2 light shades, a Lawless lipstick in the shade Little Lady Daisy, followed by a little brighter pink shade from Wet n Wild called Pink Ice. And then over the pink ice, I'll apply my Ciati London Glitter Storm lipstick in the shade Color Cosmic, which is an iridescent purple, and I'll top it off with a gloss from Lawless called Presh. That's my Lawless lipstick. And by the way, don't you love lipsticks that have a magnetic closure? I know, there's something very satisfying about that. And this is the Ciati London Iridescent Purple color. And I think I'm going to also add the Ciati London color in the shade Electra, just to give it a little bit more depth. And to finish off the look, I'll spray a little of my Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist onto a dampened makeup sponge and blot it on areas of my face where I want some additional glow. This is a wonderful final addition, and it feels so terrific on the skin too. I'll put just a little bit here, but mostly just on the upper cheekbones. So that's a look at the products that I'm reaching for over and over again these days. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button to let YouTube know. And I hope you'll share in the comment section below what makeup products you're reaching for most often. And be sure to drop me a line at boomerandbeyondbeauty@gmail.com if you'd like to receive my weekly newsletter or if you'd like to join me for a personalized online Zoom makeup consultation. Until we see each other again, I send warm wishes your way for a very happy and healthy 2024. Take care.